So Kathie and I are here and we're so excited to be talking about
Launching!
Why? Because you just had a 6-figure launch.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
I'd say 3.
3 years. I've been launching for 2 years. Just
Yeah.
under 2 years. And so when we think about where we started to where we are now, what would you say is the biggest difference in launching?
Oh God, I mean there's so many, but definitely one of the biggest differences is now I trust, like, 1, I trust myself, but 2, I trust my business more. I trust that every single launch, like, I don't know, it's not the make or break of my business. Like past launches, when I was first getting used to launching, it was every single launch was like, this is it! I'm gonna live in an alley if this doesn't work!
Do or die!
Yeah! And now it's like, I set really big goals, and if for some reason like that goal doesn't come together or something, I don't know, I have a lot of other things going on. So because I'm less stressed, I also do a fuck ton better. Like my launches are so much better than they used to be because I'm not panicked. I'm not freaking out, hoping people will apply and hoping people will join. And the day-to-day of the launch is a lot easier because I've done it so many times. So I don't really plan like my Instagram content anymore, or like I literally kind of see where we're at each day and I'm like, here's what I need to say today. Whereas in the past it's like, I would at the gym take my phone into the storage closet and like position it perfectly, and I would be in there for an hour and I would start crying, and then I'd walk around the gym and then I'd come back and I'd take a breath and I'd start to record again, and I'd be like, I don't know what they need to know. They just need to know that they need to sign up. I don't know what else to say. And it was like constant panic the whole launch all the time.
Ooh.
And now, not so much.
I would say the biggest thing at the beginning was thinking that how a launch did reflected like who I was as a business owner, and tying my worth to like how many people signed up or how quickly people signed up. Like I don't know how many times like if people didn't jump right away, I was like, this is it. No, we laughed.
I think the number of times I was like, why can't I just launch like Kayla?
Oh my God. And so here I am like, man, look at that kind of launch. No, it's so funny, and it's easy to compare yourself to other people and what they're doing, because even though our businesses are so different and our offers are so different, like your group is like, you guys have like multiple calls per week and a workout. And so it's a very different thing compared to like in business where a lot of it is like you go off on your own and like spread your wings. It's a lot more like, I don't know what the word is, autonomous? Like go and do it.
Yeah, mine is definitely very different. Like people want as much hand-holding as possible. And we do a lot to bond. Like a lot of the people in my world, like they've dieted so many times, they've done things so many times, they feel very alone, they feel very broken, they feel very much like they're doing everything wrong, something's wrong with me. And so the bonding part of it, like this round especially, we're upping that even more. But one of the coolest things about the program is like everybody gets really close. They're good friends by the end because we do accountability buddies and we rotate buddies and stuff like that. This time we're doing even more. We're doing a virtual murder mystery dinner. We're doing like a gift exchange for the holidays. We're doing a virtual potluck. That's gonna be interesting. But yeah, we're doing a bunch of stuff to really play that up, because that is like, I know when I've been in business coaching groups, I need time. Like the coach is like, okay, do this. And then I'm like, okay, give me some time. I need to go work on that. Whereas with food and fitness,
it's very
like
real
you're
time,
gonna
like
eat every day, all
every
day.
single day.
So they're like, I want help all day, every day. So that component of it is, that has nothing to do with launching. But yeah, like it's definitely changed over time for sure. But yeah, but like you said, like the worth of yourself and of your business, like I kept thinking for a long time, like if my launches weren't good enough, like my business wasn't good enough, I wasn't growing, I was doing something wrong.
And something else too, I'd say a biggest difference between beginning and now is I practice a lot more gratitude for every individual that signs up, whereas before it was like, must get 30, must get 20, whatever that is. And now I'm like, Amanda signed up, holy crap.
Yeah.
Sarah signed up, like, wow, that's amazing.
Or like, I've been talking to her for a while, like I'm so excited for her to, like I used to, every person who signed up, I was excited for me. And now I'm like, I am so excited for her. Like, I'm so glad she finally did this for herself. This is really funny. So my friend, Jago, I sent this to her in June of 2019. We were DMing and I just said, totally random, I know you're very busy, and if you don't have time for my whining, I totally get it. She sent me this the other day. I'm just baffled right now by the lack of applications coming in. I'm doing a mini launch this week for 101. I've already had 2 bathroom floor breakdowns.
Hey, at least least you're admitting it.
Over the past few months, I feel like I've improved my content so much. I've improved consistency a ton. I'm providing value more regularly on my stories. I show testimonials and client progress and wins all the time, and I'm just getting crickets. I'm so frustrated and disheartened because I cannot figure out what is not connecting or what I'm missing. So she sent me this message the other day because I told her about this 6-figure launch.
Yes.
Like, I was so fucking jacked about this launch and how not stressful it was. And she sent me a message that said, randomly I was scrolling through DMs and somehow scrolled all the way back to June 2019 from when you sent this message, working on getting applications, and look at you now, you're thriving, and it's been amazing to see. And that in a nutshell is the difference between launching a year ago and now. Like, please sign up.
Yes, and I think that like that scarcity and that desperation comes through, but I think also recognizing that not every launch is gonna be better than the one before, and like being okay with that. That was something I had to come to grips with last year, of like always, like if I didn't do better than the one before, then I'm a loser. Like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. But also it's recognizing that we're attracting, especially as we raise our prices, right? Which is very normal in our space as our demand goes up, as our knowledge and our experience and what we facilitate. Like, as pricing goes up, you're maybe not bringing in as many people, but they're much more specific and qualified, and it's just, that's different too.
Yes, that's what I would say with my one-on-one. I definitely attract fewer, or I sign fewer one-on-one clients, but they're higher caliber of client, and the price has gone up. With group, it's been a little bit different. Like, this is the biggest group I've ever enrolled, and the price went up significantly. But it's also, for sure, the best group I've ever gotten. For sure. Like, I'm obsessed with them. It's so good. And that came a lot from, I think, from the launch itself. From that, like, it wasn't, oh my God, like, I am not gonna be, so a year ago at this time, I still wanted to leave my job, you know? And so.
Different headspace.
Yeah, so it was like, I need this launch to go well so I can leave my job. And now I'm like, I'm good. My revenue is good. I already knew what I was gonna end this year at, even if this launch flopped. And so every single sales call was like, this is what the program is. This is why it's the best program out there. Would you like to be a part of it? There was no
That's so good.
There was just no element or like shadow hanging in over my head of like, I need you to.
And I think that's been a big thing too, like being okay when people say no or they don't.
Oh, there were so many people I didn't invite from the calls. And like, I've done that in the past, but this time, a lot of them. I was like, you know what? This is not a good fit. Maybe in a year, come back to me. And that was, it made me so much more confident with each other call I got on. Like, I knew I was more than happy to turn people away.
I feel like I've been getting more choosy, especially like in the one-on-one capacity.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Cause I remember before being, I don't want to say necessarily being a newbie, but like being more in the scarcity mindset, being like, they might not be a good fit, but what if no one else wants to pay me?
Right.
Oh, that was such a hard thing to overcome. Like, that was the biggest uphill battle, like battling between remembering the girl who was like checking pricing on things in the grocery cart to make sure that my card would go through, between like, I'm okay telling someone, you're not a good fit to spend $6,000 with me. Yeah. Like, just the thought of it even now like makes my heart race. Like, telling someone who has their card out, like, actually, like, this isn't really gonna be the thing for you. Yeah. Oh, that has been so hard. I know that's the biggest thing my clients tell me too, is like the difference, like being able to tell that first, like the wrong client for them, like this is not the right fit, how liberating that is.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I would say I started experiencing that a while ago with one-on-one. I mean, quite a while ago, because mostly, even if it was, monetary, even if I wanted to increase my revenue at that point, like one-on-one is such an intimate relationship. There's so many calls that like, if we can't stand each other, I don't want to do it. I don't care how much you're paying me. But but like with group, I've turned people away in the past, but this was the first time where it was like, it wasn't even like, oh, you needed to be a good fit. You needed to be an A+. I mean, there were people I turned away literally just because I didn't want to be around them for 6 months. Like,
I get that.
And it wasn't a negative on them necessarily. It was just like, this is my world. This is what I wake up and do every day. And if I start resenting showing up for the group because you are such an emotional drain on me, I don't want everybody else to be impacted by that. So I really was like very choosy this round. And I said no to more people than ever and had the biggest launch I've ever had. So I think that those went hand in hand for sure.
And I think that's what people really need to hear, is like saying no to people can be one of the best things ever. And I know there's people likely like watching who are like, I can't even get people to say yes to me. How am I going to say no to anyone? Like, what would you say to that? Because I know that's something that I'm sure people right now are like, must be nice. Must be nice, guys.
I remember watching things when I was like first starting and watching all those and being like, must be nice. And thinking like, you can go yourself while I'm over here worried about living in an alley next month. Thank you. No, I get that. I think for me, it's for sure, obviously, like growing in confidence. I also think that like, okay, so I think we talked about this when we did a podcast together too, is that when I know there's a lot of coaches who they were in the grind, they were in the thick of it, they were super like, they would barter, they would do discounts, all of that, and now they've evolved so much and they've grown and they are very in their flow and this and that. And now they coach as though everyone should be just in that flow from day one. They're like, yeah, don't do discounts, just like only do what's energetically available for. And that's fine, but I think that it's robbing people of like I tell my business mentorship clients all the time, you don't get to skip the middle. Like, yes, I might be in a different place than you are while you're launching versus when I'm launching, like might be in a different place. But like you have to go through the middle. I had to go through the middle. And I think that it's not gonna be the same length of time for everyone, but everyone's going to go through those experiences to kind of like, I don't wanna say earn that confidence, but get to the point where you are comfortable feeling that confident. I think I did discounts in the beginning. I did like half price coaching, and I would not for a second say, oh, I know so much now. I would never go back and do that. No, like I needed to. I needed to have those experiences. I also needed to give a ton of discounts and have those people flake on me and not show up and not get the results, to realize now I don't do discounts. I never do a discount. I used to do scholarships, and I don't want to be cold, but I don't do scholarships because that person doesn't show up. I'm happy to do other types of things to support people, but when you give something away like that, now I have business mentorship clients where they'll say like, yes, but this one woman, like she really wants to do it. I'm like, then do it. And just observe, like take note. I could tell you all day long, she's not gonna show up for herself, don't do it. But like until you live that and absorb it and see for yourself that they really didn't show up. Mm-hmm. And so one of my clients recently, she gave a hefty discount. This person who she gave the discount to gave her trouble the whole program with payments, with showing up to calls, with wanting to reschedule, wanting special attention. And then at the end she goes, yep, this is exactly what you talked about. And it wasn't like I told you so, because I said, if you feel good about it, do it, you know? But that, I think you just have to live through those experiences, and you have to have a middle to get to that next chapter. Like you can't skip to the end of the book and be like, here was the lesson.
Exactly. I think discounting was definitely something to learn, but also like starting low and raising your prices from there.
My prices were stupid low.
Oh, stupid low. I got more no's at $75 for a one-on-one, and it's so true. Like people, and what's funny is it's like, and then those people come back 2 years later.
Oh yeah.
2 years later, they come back and they think they're still gonna get it for $75. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
honey.
No. Every single group launch, I get someone, at least one person, who applied 6 months before or a year before. And a couple of times I've gotten someone who's like applied 2 years earlier. And every time what they say is, I wish I would have done it sooner. One, they would have made a year of progress,
yes, but
also they would have saved a lot of money. And every single time, that's when someone tells me on a call now, if they're like, I might wait till next round, I'm like, that's fine. I'm gonna send you an email with what everyone who waited till next time has said, and every single one of them.
That's awesome.
I just have an email of screenshots that's like, I should have done this a year earlier. I would have saved money. I would have done this. All I did was get more stuck. All I did was get more frustrated. The car broke down. Money's even harder now. Like,
wow, that's good.
You always think it's gonna be easier later. It's not. And I send every person who says, maybe next time, I send them that email and say like, I'm not trying to say you'll regret it, but I am saying that like, now's the time. Next time isn't the time. Now is the time.
And something else to say to people too, who kind of like always like to do the, well, next time, like, what do you have to lose by waiting? And like, let them say it.
Yeah.
Especially I think in the health stuff too. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, like time waiting where I could have already been halfway to my goal, or.
Yeah.
And I think when they say it, because how many people really sit down to think about that? Because I think people really do take action, avoiding loss and thinking about the gain.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's a good tactic,
Yeah.
but it's also like, same with business too, though. It's like,
For sure.
you could, even if you don't make a crap ton of money, let's say, which you'll learn a lot that can help set the foundation for making money, because that's something too. Even with your business people, right?
Yeah.
People realizing that, like, there's a lot of stuff that you do to set foundation for business before you make any money. Like, I did 8 months of work behind the scenes before I made my first sale of $75.
That's crazy.
Like, completely. Yeah, it was like, March of 2018, and I didn't make a sale until almost the end of October. So that's like 8 months.
Yeah. There's stuff too that, like, either from a mastermind or a business coach that, you know, I was learning something and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna use that right now, but I'm gonna put it in my back pocket. And even like just today, before I came here, I messaged Shannon, our previous mastermind coach, and said, hey, do you have the recording from our call when we talked about this? Because now I'm ready to implement something that she and I talked about 3 or 4 months ago, and it's gonna make me a lot of money. And that call was invaluable. I just couldn't use it right then. Like, it didn't, based on everything that was going on with me, with my business, like, I couldn't put it in action right then. That didn't make it not worth the investment. It was so worth the investment. And now I was like, hey, I can't find that recording. Can you send it to me? Because I sent myself voice memos on it and I listened to them today and I was like, oh my God, I forgot how intense that call was.
I remember how much
I was freaking out after. And now I'm like, oh, I have so much bandwidth right now that I can implement all of that. And it's going to, so like, I don't know, with business coaching, even with health coaching, like, it's so hard to measure the ROI, you know? So when someone's like, oh, like, I don't know if I can afford it right now or whatever, like, I don't know, you're never gonna be able to afford it, are you? Like, I feel like I can never afford anything that I want.
Even now, there's things I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. Yeah,
constantly. My coach right now, I just had a $100,000 launch. It's the best launch I've ever had. It was the easiest launch I've ever had. My coach has proven she is worth her weight in gold. It's about time to resign. Yesterday I was like, I don't know. Like, instantly, I was like, I don't know, but I'm gonna do it.
Like, yeah, can I do monthly payments? Yeah.
Bonus-free month?
Can I do a bonus?
Let's negotiate this.
But like, great topic though. Having the support of a mentor during launching.
Oh my God.
Or anything in business, really. Like, anything. Any type of pivot, action you're taking, like.
I think for me, the most important time to have a coach is definitely launching. Other times too, like when I want to build, when I want to look at something new, when I want to plan out the year, for sure. But like, I really like having, and I've hired before when I didn't have a coach at a certain time, like maybe I didn't have a permanent coach at the time, I would hire a one-off. Like I hired you for an intensive. I hired someone else for an intensive during launch who did like launch support. And for me, that's my favorite time to coach other people. Like I love coaching them during their launches. Less about the strategy, more about like just staying in the headspace. But then I need that too. You know, like my coach this round, like the goal was $100,000. We were at like, I'm like, it's at 75, and she's like, cool, the goal's 100. And then like, I was like, it's an $80,000 launch. She's like, great, the goal's 100. And then I was like, I got to 90. It was the last day of the launch. And I was like, I got to 90. And she yells back in Voxer, you are not done. And I was like, okay. And she was like, you message me when it's 100. And like, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made the goal without it.
And it's so funny, like some people love that fierceness too. And I just think sometimes you need it. Yeah. I would say like my biggest thing is always like that day. Well, it's a couple things where it's really nice when I'm launching to have someone. When it's like the day that no one signs up. Like everyone in a launch is probably gonna have a day when like people just don't commit or sign or pay.
Yeah. What happened? Did the launch end and nobody told me?
Like, am I washed up? Am I done? And then the other piece is then once the launch is done and you're like, what if they don't like me? What if they hate me? What if everything I create sucks?
That's so funny. Mine was this time. It wasn't that. I was super pumped about everyone. But Monday came and it was time to like Monday is my content batching day. So I like do my hair, I do my makeup, I'm ready to batch content, and I pick up my phone and I was like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. Like, I didn't have a CTA to say at the end. I think I told you this.
Yeah.
I recorded an Instagram story and I got to the point where I would say like, so go get on the wait list, so go apply, so whatever. And I didn't know what to say, so I just stopped and then I recorded 4 more slides and then 4 more and then 4 more. And then at the end, it just stopped. Like I just stopped talking. And I was like,
which is okay.
I messaged my coach and I was like, dude, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, what am I doing right now? And because I'm so focused on that launch for what feels like so long. And then it ended and I was like, what do we do? What's the rest of my business? I forgot, you know?
It's so easy to get like so in the thick of it, but like I feel like especially when you're starting, like launching is a great way to move ahead to increase revenue. But now it's like, especially you too, you're like, how else can I bring in revenue and growth consistently without having to like launch?
Oh yeah,
which is such a great thing.
And that's what we kind of did this time. Was I did do a launch, but my pre-launch was the gold. And so now what we're doing now is pre-launch is going, I'm gonna do the same thing, but even longer. So pre-launch is gonna be behind the scenes for like 5 months.
Wow.
So I already had people apply right now for the next round. So I have 3 people signed up for 6 months from now. And so the goal
who
this
like what,
time,
like paid a deposit?
They're either, they have the option to either pay a deposit now and then pay for the rest of it later, or because they're signed up so early, they could start their payment plan now, which brings their monthly payments down a ton.
And you've got MRR.
Yep. So
monthly recurring revenue.
So that's a really nice, my goal for the next launch is to exceed 100K. It will be, the goal is 150, but to be done with it before I ever would have had to launch. Like we get to the time like 60 days out and it's like, oh no, we're full, we're good. And like, that's my ongoing plan for this particular program so that I can still launch, because I think launching is fun.
I love it, yeah.
But for this program, it's like the meat and potatoes of what I do. So I don't want it to rely on my energy and like on me feeling really good and being in a good headspace and all of that. Like it's just too much riding on it. And I think that's why I used to hate launching. But when I launch other things, like my smaller products, my pet, I have so much fun. Like launching is so fun. And so I want to keep doing this where like, this is essentially filling up in the background all year long. By the time we get to the time where we should have launched, maybe I have to open a few spots, but hopefully it'll just be full. And then I can just do launches for like those small, like Black Friday, like do something super fun, themed, cool, you know, something for the new year, stuff like that. Like I want to use launching in a different way in 2021. That's my plan.
Now that we talked about how awesome we are, let's talk about where we messed up.
All of it.
Where did we mess up? I would say one of my biggest mistakes, or the mistakes I still make this mistake and I catch myself, is thinking that just me posting a CTA is gonna sell it.
Yeah.
Like just go buy it, it's great. And then like not making the connection and really showing people like how this offer is gonna help them and like connecting in the DMs. I have been so bad about that and I catch myself, and it's usually at the end where I'm like, why did you not pay attention to this?
Yeah, I think I feel that, especially with Instagram. Like other places, not as much. Like TikTok is totally different. I know that audience isn't an audience I've earned over 3 years. So like with Instagram, I feel like you've been watching me for 3 years. Hey, enrollment's open again. Like you missed it last time, sign up. Like that's all I really want to say on Instagram is like, it's open, let's go. Let's just, you already know what this is. But that's not true. Like there's new people all the time.
And they don't talk to us, so we don't know that they're there.
Right. I would say my biggest mistake though with launching in the past was like kind of what we already touched on, just feeling so desperate. I don't like the word desperate because it wasn't that. Like it really wasn't. I had a full-time job.
I was lack of gratitude. Like
and just like exactly what Matt would say. I was making it all about me.
Yes.
And I was just so stressed. Like I remember one launch, literally every day. I ended up reflecting on it afterwards and going back through my stories, and I was like, man, I went on every day and was like doing the pitching that's like, you're gonna let this pass you up, there's a deadline and you're gonna miss the next 6 months, and it was a lot of like guilting a little bit and less of, kind of like you said, like I was doing less of the actual teaching because I was so like, I've been teaching you for 3 years, let's go, or a year, whenever this was. So I think that was one of my biggest mistakes. Like I went back through content and was like, oh my God. Or like I used to post on my feed. I used to post on my feed every day of the launch, and every post was a hard pitch for like 3 weeks straight. Hard pitch, hard pitch, hard pitch. I was like, oh dang, that was like 2 years ago. Cause I remember then the launch, my first launch that felt calm and at peace. My assistant, who was a previous client, she was like, this launch seemed really easy and calm. I was like, yeah, it was. And she was like, maybe next time you can turn it up like a little. Because I was just so chill. I went from like one extreme to the other. And that was last year, where she was like, so maybe next round we'll find like a happy middle. And I was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. And I would say like, yeah, I mean, I've had launches too where like, yeah, one person signs up, 2 people sign up. And of course, like people don't really talk about them. So the person that you're watching on Instagram who you think has it all together and makes all the money, they've had launches that nobody has signed up, or 1 person or 2 people. Ugh. But they just don't talk about it, which is fine. Like you don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I've had a launch that like started and then Teresa went back into the hospital and I was like, oh well. Like what are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm going on 2 hours of sleep. I don't really feel like showing up at all. And so you just kind of scrap it.
That launch
or just push it through.
Yeah. That launch that I went super hard on, the one where I was saying like that one extreme of like really stressed and just super intense and I was so determined. Everyone thought I did really well. I was getting like DMs from other coaches being like, man, you're really killing it now. Like you're growing so much and blah, blah, blah. And I was like crying every single day. After that launch, I had a hard time getting out of bed for like 3 months. I like went to therapy afterwards. I hired a mindset coach. I went to Tony Robbins because I was a mess. I almost didn't run the program. And it was not a bad launch. I hit the goal, but it just felt so bad. The launch ended and we were supposed to start and I thought about refunding everyone and just being like, no, I can't. Like I was so upset because I was tying my business's growth and worth and my own worth to like what that outcome was. 100%.
To wrap this up, like what are like 3 quick tips that you'd give someone that's either in the middle of a launch right now or they're about to launch? I would say number 1 is you gotta be grateful for every single person that joins, whether it's 1 or 50, because if you can't be grateful for the 1 person signing up, you don't deserve any more people.
Can I give an example to go along with that? Or
Perfect,
an analogy?
do it.
I heard one time, it's like you invited people over for dinner and you have 9 people at the dinner table and they're sitting there waiting for dinner and you're out in the street like, where's everyone for dinner? Everybody come over for dinner. And there's 9 people sitting at the table, hungry, waiting, and they're like, am I not important enough? Like, do I not matter? And I've always gone back to that. I love that analogy in my mind. Continue.
I love that. I love the dinner table examples too. I would say number 2 is like make a plan, but be okay adjusting it. Like as life comes up or your energy or let's say you sell it out and you get to close it down earlier, maybe it's underperforming, we get to make some shifts. So being okay with change and not being super rigid. And then I would definitely say like number 3 is get support, whether it be with the mindset of it, the strategy, or ideally both.
Yeah.
Because even if you feel super prepared, there's moments where it's like, you just honestly, I just need someone to tell me I'm doing a good job.
Right, yes.
And like, I'll text Kathie, be like, can you just like tell me I'm great?
Yeah.
Just tell me I'm wonderful.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we all need to pick me up, no matter how much money you make or how successful you are.
Yeah.
Like I'm a words of affirmation love language. I just, like if you don't tell me that I'm doing a good job, I just assume you hate me subconsciously. Like I assume you just hate me and I suck. We all have our quirks. So what's yours?
Top 1 would be for sure support, 100% support. I think launching can be really mentally taxing, emotionally taxing, and it doesn't need to be. It's hard, at least for a while, to get yourself out of it. Like you need that outside perspective, I think. So that's a huge one. 2 would be to go in remembering that like no matter what, it was productive. Whether you learn what works, what doesn't work, if you got lessons from it, if you saw like what your audience responded to versus what they didn't respond to, like you just get to learn so much from it. My first launch, my first group launch ever was a huge learning experience. It wasn't super financially successful and it was hurtful. Like I hurt after it, but I learned so much and now I still like use those lessons every single time. So that's a big one. And last is I know everyone is like about the like flow and woo and like feel good all the time, but like push yourself. Do
the scary things.
Yeah. And when my business coaching clients are like, yeah, like this would be good. I'm like, great, let's shoot for great. Like, or they're low energy, so they're like, I didn't really show up today. I'm like, well then go show up. Like, it's not because of the money. It's not the like outcome. It's, I want you to prove to yourself how much you can do. And that's exactly what my coach does for me. Like, exactly. I can teach that all day long. And then in my own launch, I was ready to like take a nap at 80K. And I honest to God did not feel like I was giving up. I just felt like, yeah, we did a really good job. But she saw from that outside perspective, she saw everything I was capable of and didn't let me give up. That's why she was yelling in Voxer like, you are not fucking done. And I needed that. I needed that to keep pushing so I could prove to myself that I could do something that I used to never think was possible, you know?
Absolutely.
So that's like probably my biggest tip is like, when you think you're done, you're not done. Like, go again. Go, like, just see what you could accomplish, you know?
I'm obsessed with that. That is gold. So go ahead, comment below this video if you want Kathie to come back to the podcast studio so we can have more fun times and talk about more fun things.